Good morning. So, in the news recently, we found out that the Master Collection actually has a little bit of a benefit when it comes to speedrunning. And that is interesting because so far since October of last year, when the Master Collection came out with Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, and of course the 2D Metal Gear games, everyone usually has just kept playing the platforms and the versions of the games they enjoyed. Metal Gear Solid 1 was run on DuckStation emulator or the old PC version, not the MC version. Metal Gear Solid 3, of course, has found huge popularity since it released with the Master Collection, because finally the game is not only available through backwards compatibility on the Xbox Series, for example, but also available on PlayStation 5 and even for the first time on PC. And you'd think people would try to break the game even further, but there needs to be a few things said, sadly. One, there aren't that many glitch hunters active in the scene when it comes to Metal Gear and speedrunning, sadly. However, if you're interested, let me know, I can connect you to people. So as it stands, since last year when the Master Collection came out, there haven't been really any findings that really changed the speedrun world specifically for the Master Collection versions. Stuff has been made faster, such as, for example, the boot out time for codecs in Metal Gear Solid 2, which actually makes it run a little bit faster each time a codec loads, but there wasn't no real big bang. Well, until this weekend, when Jaguar King made a new run where he tried to play without disturbing anything, not even being seen, no caution, nothing, just going through the level as it goes technically. And in his stream, he accidentally did this.
Hello, Tintin. Huh? Huh?
So after a few minutes, when Jack finished his run and everyone else was seeing that run as well and was wondering what happened there, he came out with the news that he found out what it was. So what Jack did actually is that he tapped out of the game as the level was loading. And then seemingly just in the right moment, he tapped back in again, and then the sequence of animation kept playing. Now, what normally happens when you enter this room is Raiden goes in a diagonal line towards the wall, leans against it, and then checks through the door frame what is happening. But there's a few interesting things happening with the PC version of Metal Gear Solid 2 Master Collection, which also accounts to Metal Gear Solid 3. So let's take a deeper look at this. After some back and forth testing, we found out a few things. One, seemingly you can take control of Raiden in cutscenes if you just tap out of the game. What happens when you tap out of the game and you're just in a load transition, and right after load transition there's also an animation happening, the game really tries to pause for you because the game does not like when you don't focus it. It's actually a nice strategy from the programmers over at Konami to say, okay, if the person on PC playing has tapped out of the game, we're gonna pause it for him so the IGT doesn't go up. However, in these funny instances, in cutscenes you cannot pause. It's not like you are able to press pause and it will pause, it just doesn't. But the way this works with tapping out, it's slightly different seemingly, and a little bit more powerful. Based on Jack's own description is, if you keep holding the directions that the cutscene wants you to go, you can keep manipulating them. I personally had a rough time trying to recreate this until I played around a little bit more. One thing that I found out is, if you just tap out of the game and wait for a long time, then actually you can manipulate the start of the cutscene. Because if you wait long enough until the cutscene would be at the point where Raiden is just leaning against the wall, you can take control of him there in that moment. Another situation is actually that you don't even need to manipulate him at all, which I found out even later. So what happens is, if you are focused on the game, the cutscene starts playing and Raiden starts moving to the left. If you then tap out of the game, the movement to the left actually does not get in it at the usual spot, it just continues. And if you tap back into the game again at the right moment, then he will start leaning towards the wall where he wants to lean against. But in this instance, of course, he cannot lean against the wall. So what he does instead, if we just leave him running towards the left for long enough, he would just walk all the way up. And because he's in a cutscene, he also seemingly has the abilities of just walking through mines. That, of course, is the biggest thing about this right now. In this glitch state, you're seemingly invulnerable. The first point may be to getting God mode in Metal Gear Solid 2 by tapping out of the game. Unexpected. Well, and from that point on, now the hunt has begun. Where are upper cutscenes where the game takes control of you, where technically you are not really in a cutscene, but just in a playable state and the game takes control over you? What happens if we tap out? there are a few things that can happen, such as, for example, in 𝐻𝐿1 core 1b, where you go to the eye sensor. There's a cutscene that plays, and you can have Raiden just walk down the hallway instead of needing to wait at the top of the door frame. Then you still need to get the guard to go to the sensor because you still need access to the room. You cannot just walk into it during a cutscene. That's where it's getting a little bit frustrating, because you cannot fully control Raiden in this instance. There's also another instance in Tanker, for example, when you enter the Deck A crew's quarters. If you come from the after deck and the first floor level, basically, you have a little cutscene that plays and you would lean against the wall to the left. You can interrupt this and actually have Snake walk all the way to the end. So what's funny there is also, in the cutscene stage, no enemies are worried about you at all. You can literally walk through them and nothing happens. The biggest thing so far that we found out, I'm gonna go back to the original finding in a second, is that when we are in plant as Raiden, and we're about to meet the president, and we have Olga turn on the electric floor panel, there you get out the D-mic. The D-mic, you usually would be required to just stand there and do something, but if you tap out before the D-mic gets put on, you can start walking. And the trouble is, you're not allowed to press X or just the lower button, no matter what console you're playing on, because that would skip the cutscene and continue the script on. But if you just walk during this glitch state all the way to the elevator, take the elevator down, and then take a swim to grab the Nikita and come back, you can basically skip all the walking back from the elevator, because as soon as you go up again into the room on that floor and then skip the rest of the cutscene that still plays out, you will be warped from the elevator back to where you would normally stand, which is right by the box around the corner. All you need to do is just take a few steps down the stairs, and then you shoot the Nikita and free the president and be able to talk to him. Sadly, you still need the president and need to meet him, because you need his level 5, no, I think level 4 card it is actually. Once again, we're like so close, it's so far from skipping anything in this Nikita segment. The only thing we really need is either skip the Nikita, so we talk to the president and don't need to grab the Nikita, or we just get the level 5 card somehow early, go to Vamp, which we can already do without needing the card, and then after Vamp have access to door entries for a high level card, maybe one day. So this whole warping back and forth, found initially by Marlon Hay, he did that and it saves a few seconds. That's really the extent of it. And that's where it sadly comes down to right now. This is a great find, like honestly, a great find. But just in the first few days that we've known about this, so far we haven't really found anything useful with it, besides this one instance with the D-mic. Every other instance, it's just not really giving us any fast attribute than just skipping the cutscene and continuing as normal. And even in the instance where we are on the EF bridge in plant, where Jack has initially found this, there are different things that we can do. Yeah, it's great that we can clean up the bridge from the claymores, so there's 3 claymores gone, we don't need to worry about that anymore. And it allows us for even faster movement later when we revisit these rooms. However, it needs to be said, even if we glitch into the EF bridge and immediately have to walk over the bridge and everything, have the codec conversations happen, which we need to normally do. If you put it side by side with a regular run that just skips the cutscene and deals with the room normally, it's still around 4 to 5 seconds slower. And even if the bridge is now cleaned up and you get through this room faster, it doesn't make a huge difference anymore. Like this time loss you certainly will not get back just because the bridge is now clean. Yes, I said we need to talk about Metal Gear Solid 3, and that's what we get to right now. There's been also runners playing around with Metal Gear Solid 3 with this thing where you unfocus the game and do something with it. And at least at the start, you can do a delay before the codec happens. It's really funny. When you go in Metal Gear Solid 3 and you grab your bag, normally you are now just automatically being taken over from the game, you drop down, and the codec starts where you meet the boss and all the other characters, and they talk a little bit about your equipment. By tapping out, you can just delay that a little bit, and that's the extent of it. You can even softlock yourself permanently and the game just does not advance anymore. But at least we have Appel on the case. Appel is one of the greater developers of the Autosplitter for Metal Gear Solid 3 and Glitch Hunter as well. A very capable and very smart person. Unfortunately, he didn't hear about this whole thing when it happened on Sunday because he doesn't have Twitter anymore. He's Brazilian and the Brazil government has banned X, so that's unfortunate. Good thing we're still connected via Discord. It's good to have freedom of the internet. We also have this little clip happening here on Jack's live stream yesterday where he had another instance of tapping out and Snake just not doing what he should be doing. Normally in this zone here, he drops down, but in this instance, because he untapped and then tapped back later, he never dropped down and he was able actually to walk all the way back to the load zone. Unfortunately, this load zone is not active. There's actually just an invisible wall there and you cannot actually go out of bounds off the map. Would be great if maybe we could just go out of bounds here and walk outside to the next load zone and be done with it. But since we can't take either with us, I think this won't be working anyway. So as it stands, right now at least, we have one useful trick in Medic Story 2 with this tapping out and refocusing the game. But so far, like, not a big bang yet. But at least this is the first instance where specifically the Master Collection has something that no other version of the game has. It is sadly only limited to PC, as we have not been able to recreate this in any of the console versions. But hey, maybe in the future, as we dig around more, try around more, we can explore and find even more. So this is not the last time we talk about this trick. But until then, thank you everyone for watching. Hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you all soon in another video. Bye guys.